Welcome back, everyone. Good news for Nigeria, as the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited on Tuesday said the Port Harcourt Refinery is currently operating at 70% of its installed capacity, with plans to ramp up to 90%. This was confirmed by Olufemi Shinaye, the Chief Corporate Communications Officer of NNPCL. He disclosed this in a statement on Tuesday. The 60,000 barrels per day old Port Harcourt Refinery, which was established in 1965, had suffered a series of aborted potential. Previous administrations had failed to restart this critical national asset. And let's remind you that in March 2021, the Buhari administration awarded the contract for the rehabilitation of the refinery, and repair works began in phases but yielded no result. The NNPCL said the refinery began truck loading of petroleum products on Tuesday, 26th of November, and the Port Harcourt Refinery is comprised of 2 units, with the old plant having a refining capacity of 60,000 barrels per day, and the new plant 150,000 barrels per day, this summing up to 210,000 per day. Tonight, let's speak with Dr. Ayodeji Abdurraouf, financial analyst, founder, CEO of Think Startup Beyond Borders. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, you're welcome.
It's a pleasure having you on Politics Tonight.
Thank you for having me.
So first, let me get your immediate reaction to this latest development.
One thing about Nigerians so far in terms of information and news management, it's been so difficult because of what happened in the social media. If you can see the reactions of people in the couple of hours that the things that have been put on the board, a lot of people are saying, I hope it's not the same story that we had before. Like I read in some newspapers today, you see that this has been announced severally by various governments. I think at the Jonathan time, at the point it came in, they said the refinery is working. At the Buhari time, same thing. But this time around, it's confirmed. You know, some of us, when we have this news, we have a network of people in the Port Harcourt. They've been able to go and check these things and be sure that is it really operating this time around, not like the others. So, to me, it's a plus to this government, and it's something worth celebrating by Nigeria. We are just lucky to have Dangote initiated the first refinery that started working. If this one had on and other had on, then Nigeria is getting productive gradually, and our economy can really get back to its course. What we have been facing in the past year is that we have basically based our economy on foreign currencies. So now that we are going to now base our economy on the real values of our productivity, I think this will help the economy. So I give kudos to the current government for this, at least the promise, although it wasn't the date, but something has been done.
Absolutely. And according to a report from the NNPCL, the Port Harcourt Refinery boasts of a daily production capacity of 60,000 barrels. Yeah. And talking about what is expected to be churned out, we have PMS, AGO, SRK, LPG, and the likes. Exactly. How significant is this to the sector? Wow.
You know, I'm waiting to see the impact. I'm waiting to see the impact of this really, because why this question is because when government said they are removing subsidy, people thought as soon as the subsidy is removed, we start having relief.
Absolutely.
But it seems as the subsidy is unending. We're still talking about it until recently they said it's now net off. We hope it's net off. Nobody bringing the issue of subsidy. Yet on these successful operations of Port Harcourt Refinery, how do we start seeing the effect? I think the Nigerian Petroleum Corporation should have a strategy. You know, this issue of mixing regulators and operators alike, because they are playing two roles, is not really good for the market. It's not good for a free economy, whereby the regulator are also operators in the market. But I hope now that the regulations is coming up, the NNPC will play the role of the regulators and allow the marketers that are really do their job. I know if you allow marketers to do their job and they will control our borders, I think things can be okay for the country.
You know, the breakdown of our local refineries pushed Nigeria to depend solely on the importation of petroleum products for domestic use for so many years. Yes. But with this latest developments, is this Nigeria changing the narrative?
Now this government is changing the narrative. This government is changing the narrative. So let's just give it to this government. Yeah, it's not going to come suddenly because a lot of Nigerians are expecting magic. It requires a lot of resilience and focus on a leader. And that's what we see now. We just spent over a year, and the government still insisted they know what they are doing. This is to show us that they know what they are doing. But however, how do we get back to our proud the coming of this government? Because we're in a level that people were used to. The subsidy was the noise and also. Now the subsidy have removed. The refinery is working. I think the business should be run properly like it's supposed to run. And then the market forces will take place. And then we can get the right price for the petroleum.
Absolutely. The next question a man on the streets would ask is, what is the impact of this on the common man?
For a common man, it's not going to be sudden. One thing about what I've seen about most of African economy is that we don't seal the yield of any drastic policy of any changes in operations of a particular sector. But I'm going to say one thing, just like we have it in the case of GSM. Nobody sees it that time when we were paying close to about 150 naira per minute. And suddenly when a Nigerian, with Dangote there, whatever government is going to run, because like what some past leaders of Nigeria have said, they're going to sell a refinery. I think, to me, if this refinery is working, it's better to allow the market forces to take charge. The private sector should run our refinery now, so that it won't be saddled with the issue of government running and mess it up. If at a point that this thing gets well restructured and functional, I think it's that time we allow Nigerians to invest in their own refinery.
So what's the impact of that?
The impact will be that it will be in the hands of the people. Just like what happened with the Dangote, if not for the marketers that nearly suffocated demand, but they are now getting the whole thing cleared, I think the masses will gain on the long run. The prices of the petrol, of the diesels, of the kerosene, of the gas will come down. But it's not going to be sudden, so I'm not going to be the one that will tell Nigerians that to start coming down as soon as possible, because nobody knows to get here when the government came in. So, but I know it's going to get there. The border controllers, the customs, the immigration must make sure they control they guide against our borders, because that's where a lot of linkages also go. But if you look at what happened in all our neighbors now, when we remove that subsidy, they are also suffocating. So if that is controlled and we see the real market forces, Nigeria will start selling to those neighboring countries. Then we have more foreign currency coming in, and then we can run our economy properly, productively. Absolutely.
Because you've talked about the Dangote refinery, interestingly, it was 2 days ago the Dangote Petroleum Refinery says it has reduced the price of its premium motor spirit from 990 naira per litre to 970 naira per litre, saying its product is cheaper.
Still, to me, that's not the real price of it.
Is this competition playing out?
That's the real competition coming out. Now, when the refinery, the Harcourt Refinery has commenced operation, and NNPC comes with the regulated price from the price, because I'm quite sure it will be cheaper than Dangote, because it's owned by government. On whatever be the market force that's going, they have not invested as much as Dangote has invested, building from scratch to the point they are now. They've just been doing overhauling of the refinery for over a long period, and they've sunk a lot of money. Some people have been asking the questions, how much have they even spent to get the refinery on? So there will be competitions. And let's say it's not just Dangote Refinery on the Harcourt Refinery working. We have about other sub-Saharan refinery that are working, close to about 9 of them now. So there are going to be key competitions in that sector now, because those ones too will be able to provide petroleum to a certain level and within a particular region. But what Nigeria should be expecting is that there will be different prices at different regions, just like we have it now. Some will be coming down, some will be going up, depending on the logistics of getting the petrol over there. So I think the masses are going to benefit on the long run with what is happening in the oil and gas.
But there seems to be some division to that effect when it comes to marketers, because for Ipman, independent marketers are saying they are no longer buying from middlemen. But some marketers like Petroan is insisting that the price from the Port Harcourt refinery is 75 naira higher than what Dangote is selling, bringing to question expectations from the resumption of production at the government.
I think it's the issue that I raised the other time. The situation whereby you have the regulators and operator working. I think the government should get off these things. What is causing that? In government business, most of the time the people in government themselves only have the contractors acting for government. So in the process, the contractor will be the off-takers of the product, and they give it to the main people that even sell. The contractor has nothing to do in business. If all these are not cut off in any government business, we'll still be encountering the crisis we are facing. So if IPMA is saying this, it's telling you there's a lot going into the government businesses. I think this government should realize that government has no hand in business.
But
it should just be regulator.
With local refineries, is price reduction a myth?
No, it's not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Please expatiate.
Yeah. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's
How
very
so?
possible. I look at the budget session today in the National Assembly, and some legislators were asking the questions, how can you peg dollar at 1,400 back? When it's already 1,700 something at the moment. That are we saying it's not going to come down to? No, it's not going to come down to 750. Okay. In the reality of the economy, but it can get to 750 if our economy become more productive, like we're having now. If it turns, most of the things that pursue dollars are reduced, because what are the major things that takes a lot of dollars off us is this petroleum. But it's obvious to all now that it's going down, but dollar is still not going down, it's still going up. So let's see what happens with as much refinery as we can and produce as much into the market to get things better. Let's leave it to a free market.
But do you
process.
think Nigerians really understand that petrol pump price will never return to 100 naira per litre?
It will never. No, Nigerians should know that. Let me give you a typical economy analysis that people have been doing all around for people to realize that it won't go down. Someone in UK or in US that have been earning how much before? About £16,000 per annum in UK. Now he's earning £54,000 today on £40,000. It can't still sustain the economy he was having when he was earning £16,000. So it's a global thing. We can't have it better now because everything has gone on a high trend. And the capitalists have inflated the economy to a level that is becoming more difficult. I don't see us having any middle class in Nigeria again. Almost all of us are level. We're all level.
Perhaps Nigerians need more clarity on this, because one thing Petroan is saying, which is like a major challenge for the association, is that the higher price, I want to call them verbatim so I don't misquote, the higher price places a financial burden on marketers, potentially impacting fuel distribution and availability. Is that really a cause for concern? It's
a cause for concern, but I've said it earlier here. It's the issue of mixing regulator with operators. In a business whereby the regulators and operators are operating together, it's not clear to anybody. The regulators are meant to give licenses to people that will operate and control them. Nobody is controlling the market because the regulator is steering the marketer is steering the regulators. And these are the things that causes crisis to the retailers and finally to the consumers. So until we have a clarity in the operations of regulators and operators in the market, look at why should NNPC be importing directly fuel to this country? They should give people licenses to go and operate and paying subsidy to people. And some people will they will not bring anything to this country and they will get subsidy. It's because of the margins of the regulators and the operators' operations together. No, in any civilized country, the regulator must determine the directions of the economy and continue to control to protect the consumers. A situation whereby the regulators are operating with the operators, then will protect the consumers. Then, and look, what we are seeing now is like when the two elephants fight, the grass that suffer, the common man will still continue to suffer when we are hearing this kind of news from both the independent marketers and the operators. At every point in time that Dangote come with, even at the point, we heard NNPC saying the price they are buying from Dangote at the point, now they have their own. Sell to Nigerians, let's have these things at the ideal price that we should have it from the marketer. If there's no additional cost with all this middleman stuff that we package into our transactions in that oil and gas sectors, I think we have a relief.
So let's be practical, Doctor, because you're talking about the need for a margin between regulators and operators. Yeah. Who ensures that happens?
It's the government.
Who is the government?
It's not the government, whoever has put them up. The real government is the people that design the policy. Because the regulators are set up by the government. So the government can tell the regulators, face your duties as a regulator. It's the government.
All right. You know, as local production increases from the Port Harcourt Refinery, and we're looking ahead to, better days ahead,
Yeah,
the challenge
for
remains
Nigerian
to
economy.
strike a balance that supports economic stability. You went ahead of me. You talked about the economy while making fuel more affordable. So how crucial is a transparent pricing policy?
I still insist on what I've been saying, that the regulators must just let the marketer do their business and they give the fair prices. Because what determines prices in the free market is the demand and supply. So if we are meeting up demand, because from the way things are going, we're going to start refine as much as the fuel required by Nigeria. Then where are we going again? If that means we don't need dollars, nobody have to start telling me it's because I have to import and I have to use this. That's the reason why petroleum is going up. And then it's even obvious with the cost of fuel now that the demand for petroleum, even in the petrol station, is going down a bit. A lot of people are not even bothered sometimes to take their cars out. So if that really is a factor and is based on determinants in the simple economics, that should allow the market forces to determine the prices of the petroleum.
Let's look at other angles to this conversation, because the president, since assuming office, has undertaken bold and surgical reforms. Some economists call it surgical reforms in the oil and gas sector, which, believably has led us to this point that we are today. For instance, he issued 5 executive orders to unlock over $2.5 billion in oil and gas investments. I'm sure you're aware of that, among other initiatives. So what new opportunities would this open up in the sector?
The sector is still not fully tapped at the moment. I was in a summit with the Minister for Power.
I'm supposed to agree with you.
The Minister for Power recently. And it's because most of our equipment that we'll be using since independence are still the one. Even the Port Harcourt Refinery that they said they've overhauled, I hope it's replacement, not really, it should be replacement, not really repairing and overhauling, because it's going to break down after some time too, and we still come back to the same thing. Because that's what has been happening in the past. They will test it, the thing will work for some time and stopped. The opportunities in the oil and gas for this country is so much. You know, nobody talk about CNG when the issue of the CNG start coming. And we have been having glass flared all along before. But I will still encourage the government, for the opportunities are abundant, because look at Europe, very close to us. In 5-6 hours, we're in Europe. And then we have enormous gas. And Europe need gas, and Europe will go as far as Russia to go and get gas. If there's a way the government can start relating with some European countries, even starting from some of our ECOWAS countries, and we are the ones supplying the gas, that's an opportunity for us. And again, like I said, when I was in a summit with the Minister for Power, he was talking about we have to have different forms of energy now. We cannot rely on the grid for energy. That we must look at the solar, and then we have a small component of users or consumers that need electricity at this point. It will be based on solar, depending on what they can afford. We have a gas-supported power sector. So those are opportunities in that sectors. And internationally, the fear that some people are feeling, and that's why some people are saying, even this refinery we're continuing to work on may be an issue over time, because the whole world is going towards the gas. I mean, about the refineries of petroleum. And that's why whoever is investing in the refinery business now must be thinking of when to exit. Because the economies over time will not stay there. But in the oil and gas generally, the opportunities are abundant.
All right.